With Ruin around the corner, I thought it would be appropriate to make a video predicting the plot for the DLC, who characters could potentially be, and when Ruin could take place. First off, who could Cassie be? A popular theory amongst theorists is that Cassie is either Cassidy's spirit haunting Cassie, or that she is a Charlie bot, because we have to tie in the Charlie bots into every theory for some reason. But is there any merit in these beliefs? Well, let's take a look at the evidence. Some believe Cassie is Cassidy because of the similarity in their names. After all, Cassie would be a nickname for Cassidy. Aside from her name, there aren't any physical features that would indicate that Cassie is Cassidy either. However, that doesn't mean it's not a possibility. A popular belief amongst the community is that the princess in Princess Quest is Cassidy. The evidence for this stems from the fact that the sprite of the princess is golden, the same color as the animatronic she possessed, Golden Freddy. Other evidence comes from the seeming reappearance of Old Man Consequences as the Red Old Man after the events of UCN. The Red Man being RMC would be further implied by the fact that he tells her after PQ2 that her quest is over and urges her to rest, just like he did in UCN. Further evidence is the giant Chica watching us in the third game, as she was the first of the MCI to be lured away.
I was the first. I have seen everything.
Tying the princess to the MCI, but the biggest piece of evidence is the fact that the princess's file in the game was originally named Cassidy. This was later changed to Princess, so it could have been a mistake, or we weren't supposed to know who the princess was yet. It's also possible that the princess isn't even Cassidy, considering another character from the old lore had a file named after her, that being Charlie, having the double doors in the basement of the Pizzaplex named Charlie door, which still to this day hasn't changed, seems to imply that the Cassidy name drop was a mistake, and the princess wasn't Cassidy the whole time. I mean, maybe the princess is symbolic of a new character. Cassie is also a nickname for Cassandra. Whether or not this was to conceal the truth or miscommunication with Scott is up to you to decide. Even though I do believe that the princess is Cassidy, with the princess's identity possibly not being Cassidy, and Cassie's physical appearance not matching Cassidy's game appearance, I don't think Cassie is Cassidy. Regardless, I do think that Princess Quest is important for Ruin, but we'll get to that later. Another possibility for Cassie is that she is a rebuilt Charlie. While I personally don't believe this nor understand people's obsessions with rebuilt children in the games, I feel we need to discuss it anyway. Connections Charlie and Cassie have would be them both being brunettes, green nails being the same color as Charlie's bracelet in the security puppet minigame, and their names sounding similar. To me, this is weak evidence. Considering brown is a common hair color, the names of Charlie and Cassie don't have much resemblance to each other than the C in their names, and the green nails could just be a stylistic choice. However, I have another idea for the green nails. If you take a look at Security Breach TV, you can see the two steel logos inverted to one another as green and purple. You know what this tells me? That green, at least for Security Breach, is being set up as the counterforce against the evil within the Pizzaplex, as purple is the evil color, regardless if you believe Glitchtrap and Birdtrap to be Afton or the Mimic, or a combination of the two. Purple would represent those two. This would make sense if Cassie ends up freeing the animatronics of the virus's control. Why do I think this? Well, take a look at Roxy in the Ruin trailer. It doesn't look like she's lunging for an attack, but it's more curious of Cassie. But how could Cassie free the animatronics? If you recall, Cassie finds a device which she'll probably use to progress through the Pizzaplex, as seen when she plugs it into the wiring frame, which has two holes for the device to connect into. Now take a look at Roxy, more specifically the eye sockets. They have two holes which seem to match the ones on the wiring frame. Could we connect to the animatronics freeing them of the virus's control? Maybe. It'd be pretty cool if Roxy ends up being our ally this time around. Anyway, green being the counterforce to purple would be strengthened since Vanessa's nails are also purple. But then again, the rabbit thing at the end of the trailer is fluctuating between green and purple, and it is definitely connected to Glitchtrap, so who knows? Either way, I do believe Cassie is being set up to defeat Glitchtrap in the DLC. So I don't think Cassie is a rebuilt Charlie. You can't convince me that the Charlie bots are in the game's continuity. So with all of this into account, who do I think Cassie is? Gregory's sister, or someone connected to him? Friend, perhaps? I think Gregory has been missing for some time, as evident by the Pizzaplex decay. So when she receives a call from Gregory, she would have to go and investigate, even if there's something off with Gregory. I do think Cassie has a connection to the Pizzaplex outside of just knowing Gregory. I do believe she has some relation to maybe the post-it room, but we'll have to wait and see. Now that we've gotten who Cassie is out of the way, how far after the events after Security Breach do I think Ruin takes place? and which ending is the canon one. With the release of the new teasers, we get a more detailed look at how decrepit the Pizzaplex is. With all of the decay, grime in the place, and the rust on the animatronics, I think it's apparent Ruin takes place years after security breach. There is no way it takes place months after, but which ending is this the aftermath of? With the animatronics looking similar to how they were left at the end of the Burn Trap ending and how the Pizzaplex is in ruin, which would make sense after the explosion under the place and it crumbling down onto Gregory and Freddy. I think it's pretty obvious which ending is the canon one, given it's called the true ending in the Switch's files. However, we should go over the other endings anyway. We can immediately eliminate Escape, Fire Escape, Dismantle, Vanny, and the Getaway endings, because both Freddy and Gregory have to remain in the Pizzaplex after security breach. The Fire Escape ending has both Freddy and Gregory outside and Freddy's death. The Escape ending implies Gregory gets recaptured and potentially not making it to ruin. Disassemble Vanny has Freddy dismantled by the staff bots, and the Getaway ending has Freddy and Gregory both escaping the Pizzaplex, which leaves one ending, the Princess Quest ending. This has both Freddy, Gregory, and Vanessa escape the Pizzaplex. However, since the virus is probably defeated in the ending, or at the very least removed from the Pizzaplex's systems, and it obviously has to still be active in ruin, I doubt this is the canon ending, even if Gregory returned to the Pizzaplex for some reason and Vanny dropped her Vanny mask. Oh yeah, the Vanny mask. Even if Princess Quest is the canon ending, Vanny dropping her mask doesn't prove anything, since the mask Cassie uses in the trailer doesn't match the mask Vanny wears in the main game. Hers is rounded, whilst Cassie's has a tuft of fur on the top matching the one in Curse of Dreadbear. With all of this in mind, I think it makes it pretty clear the Burn Trap ending is the canon one. The next topic on our list is Gregory. If the Pizzaplex has been abandoned for years, like I said, then why is it only now that Gregory is reaching out to someone? He alone survived for so long, and sounds like he hasn't aged. Considering he's around 12 in the story GGY, which is before security breach, then he should have a deeper voice in Ruin. Could be more evidence that Gregory is a robot, which I hope isn't the case, but who knows, the evidence for Gregbot seems to keep stacking up. More importantly, take a listen to Gregory in the trailer.
Cassie, I hope you get this message. I'm trapped. Here at the Pizzaplex, or what's left of it. I don't have time to go into how I got here, but you've got to help me out. Save me, Cassie, please. It's so dark down here.
Does he sound off to you? He seems different from the brave kid who destroyed the animatronics hunting him down in the main game. Granted, he would be scared after a prolonged time in the dark and with the animatronics still hunting him down. However, it is a contrast to the character he was in Security Breach, which leads me to the Mimic. Since Glitch Trap and or Burn Trap is most likely the Mimic, it's possible it's mimicking Gregory to lure Cassie into the Pizzaplex. It wouldn't be out of character for it to do this, since we see it mimic a lost child in the Tales epilogues, luring the characters into a trap. We even hear Glitch Trap mimic Tape Girl in Help Wanted.
Hello? Can you hear me?
So it's possible the Mimic is luring in Cassie as its next host, considering it would probably be short of one, with Gregory no longer under its control or questionable control, since he did break free of its grasp just prior to security breach. The Mimic would need someone else to control, someone reliable and easy to manipulate, like a child. Or maybe he isn't even alive anymore. While I don't see Steelwool or Scott killing off Gregory, I also can't see how Gregory has survived in there for so long, unless he's a robot of course. But whether or not he did escape at some point, I don't think Gregory is still down in the Pizzaplex. Considering Cassie is going into the Pizzaplex to look for Gregory, he obviously isn't wandering the town, and since it's theorized that Gregory may have had part of his soul in the Balloon World arcade game when under the Mimic's control, just like how part of Vanessa was trapped in the Princess Quest games. Could their souls be trapped in the arcade game's Dream Ruin? While there's not much proof to confirm this is something I can see happening, and I'll show how I think this could fit into the plot for Ruin. But there's one last thing we need to talk about before diving into my predictions for the plot, that being Princess Quest. The story arc for Ruin will probably follow a similar structure to the 3 Princess Quest games. There are a few connections from the trailer and main game that we can draw from Princess Quest. The first and most obvious is the weird rabbit thing at the end of the trailer. I want you to take a look at its design. Black rabbit with white tears, teeth, and eyes, with a potential puddle underneath it. Remind you of anything? It has a stark contrast to the glitch rabbits in Princess Quest 2 and 3, its sprite also has white eyes with white tears running down its face and a white mouth. Even the puddle underneath the rabbit from the trailer can be explained because the sprites are all dripping some black substance. Probably agony, let's be honest here. Not only this, but Glamrock Chica on the conveyor belts lines up with the giant chica watching us in the conveyor belt section of Princess Quest 3. You know what else lines up with Princess Quest? The giant anomaly at the end of PQ1, the Mimic's digital manifestation in the arcade games. Let's take a closer look at its design. A giant rabbit with tears running down its face, foam from its mouth, and a mass of other animal characters and faces. This resembles the Blob, a mass of wires, animatronic parts, agony, and souls. But what about the tears? Well, since I believe the Bone Trap ending is the canon ending, what happened with the Blob at the end of that? It picked up Bone Trap and took him away. With this in mind, I think it's safe to assume the Blob merged with Bone Trap, and regardless if you believe part of Afton is in him or it's just the Mimic, I'm certain the endo of Bone Trap is the Mimic. But how does this explain the tears? Take a look at Glitch Trap's design. It has tears coming from its eyes and foam at the mouth, matching the murderous rage Edward inflicted on the Mimic in its Tales of Story. Combine this with the Vanny mask we find in the game and the seemingly digital manifestations in the real world, it would make a strong connection between Princess Quest and Ruin. With all of that out of the way, we can talk about my predictions for the Ruin plot. Cassie gets a call from Gregory, her brother or friend, a plea for help to escape the Pizzaplex. Regardless of if she has connections to the Pizzaplex's dark history or not, she avoids the corrupted animatronics, only to find the Mimic inside the Blob. She then escapes its grasps, though I don't think she'll know it was mimicking Gregory just yet. They'll probably save that for later towards the end. Considering she seems to be talking with him, or I think the Mimic in the trailer, I do see us communicating with the Mimic as a potential game mechanic. Entering the second act, I believe Cassie will attempt to free the animatronics of the Mimic's control, but at the very least, have Roxy as an ally throughout the rest of the game, whilst Cassie searches for Gregory, only to find out that Vanessa's soul and Gregory's has been trapped in the arcade games the whole time, and the thing she's been helping has been the very thing she's been fighting against. It's around this point we might find the Vanny mask, to see into the various arcade games connecting Cassie and Vanessa and Gregory as well through the Balloon World arcade game. Through this connection, Cassie helps free the two from the Mimic's clutches. Whether or not we set their souls free or bring them back to reality, I'm not sure, but I do believe the arcade games will play a huge part in the DLC's story. Then after we free the animatronics and the arcades of the Mimic's control, we'll at last confront the Mimic in one last final boss battle and defeat it, only for part of it to have survived and strike another day. That's it. That's my predictions for Ruin. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me, or do you have different thoughts of your own? Feel free to post them down in the comments if so. If you enjoyed, consider liking the video, hitting that subscribe button, and tapping that bell to be notified when my next video drops. It shows your support. But now, I have actually got to finish reading Tales 6. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your day/evening.